Without further ado, let's welcome Andreas and Micah from ELB Learning. Guys, the stage is yours, and I'm going to get that chat function taken care of.
Thanks, Kristen. I hope everything goes smoothly and we don't have any more technical difficulties ever again.
Ever.
Ever. Hey everyone. Thanks for joining us here today with ELB Learning. We're doing a rehearsal video-based practice. I'm Andreas, and I have Micah Eppler with me as well.
Yep. Hi, everybody. Really nice to meet y'all.
Cool. I think we're gonna go over some quick slides here. Just a little bit about ELB learning, a little bit about rehearsal, use cases, things like that, and then we're going to dive into the platform. Like Kristen mentioned, we have the chat as well. I'll be monitoring that. All right, awesome. We've got some action in the chat happening. We'll be monitoring that. Micah and I really love questions and making this interactive. I think that makes it more engaging for us as presenters, makes it more engaging and relevant for the audience as well. So please, we're going to try to monitor that and get your questions going. So I think, Micah, before I start with the slides, maybe we'll just do a quick intro of ourselves and our roles at ELB. That works.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds great, Dre.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead?
Sure, absolutely. So nice to meet everybody. My name is Micah Eppler. I'm an account executive here with ELB Learning. I work with a lot of our clients on everything that we do here at ELB, from custom content development to staff augmentation to any of our product rollouts, including Rehearsal. I was originally part of the Rehearsal team back before ELB even acquired it. So Dre was also part of that team. So we're legacy Rehearsal guys. We know this tool inside and out, upside down, and we're really excited to show it to you today because not only is it cool technology, but it works. It's really impactful. And you're going to see an excellent way. I know today we're going to be focused around a use case of onboarding new hires, and kind of a speed to competency outcome is really what we're after there. And so we'll talk through that. But just as Dre mentioned, please, we want this to be as interactive as possible. We like to ebb and flow, and good cop, bad cop. Obviously, I'm the good cop in that situation. So please stay active in the chat, ask questions, and we'll roll with it.
Fantastic. Thanks, Micah. My name is Andreas. I've been with Rehearsal for a really long time. I'm Senior Director of Product Development. So, I guess beyond the product side, I get to work with amazing customers, amazing team at ELB as well, developing what I feel like is an amazing product. I love our product. I love our customers. It's fantastic to see all the great things that our customers are doing. So I'm going to share my screen, pull up some slides. Micah, can you see this? Perfect.
Good, right?
Cool.
Yep.
So at ELB, we like to bring together innovative software, including full suite of authoring tools, games, gamification, video practice, which is Rehearsal, which we'll be looking at today, tailored professional services, and again, we really partner with our customers to develop great learning experiences. That's kind of our MO at ELB Learning. That's what we live and breathe for. As Micah mentioned, we were both, Rehearsal was acquired by ELB about 2.5 years ago. It's been a fantastic experience. We've really been able to synergize with the other products, other customers as well. But like I was mentioning, partnering with whether you're Fortune 100 company, whether you're a small startup or consultancy, that's where we really love to work with our customers and create value. And so, a lot of I think great opportunities here for us and our customers. So from there, a little bit about Rehearsal. So really, video-based practice, I think back in the day, what you would be doing is you'd get two people sitting in the room and doing a role play together. Of course, that's not always scalable, even though it is a great experience. But what we're doing is we have what we like to call asynchronous role play, where a learner can record themselves in the platform, practice. They can see feedback from mentors, peers, now AI as well. And really, what we're trying to do is increase our speed to competency. And when you have, say, thousands of learners, that's where you really need a platform that can help you scale to that mentorship and getting humans in the loop for growing the platform and successfully rolling this out. So a lot of use cases here. I think today we'll focus on just a new hire onboarding use case. But what we see our customers doing is, for example, really reinforcing a sales methodology. So sales enablement is, of course, a big use case. But if you have a specific way that you want to discuss or talk about your product, or if you're doing a new product rollout, or if you're in a specific industry that has compliance or regulations, for example, pharma or med dev, we need to be very aware of how we position and message things, what we talk about, what we can't talk about, for example, all this soft skills development, communication, leadership training, all these things. These are all great use cases for our platform. I think one of the great benefits of video-based practice is you get this safe, controlled environment where learners can foster experimentation, kind of in a safe sandbox, right? And we find that when our learners are recording themselves into the platform, they are making 4 or 5 attempts before they're ready to hit that submit button and say, okay, I'm good with what I'm saying here with my messaging, whatever it is that they're practicing. And so Rehearsal really is a enterprise product. And when I say enterprise, we've got security, compliance, integrations, SSO, managing thousands of learners, tracking progress through the system, reporting, all these things that, it's not just about the role play. It's got to fit into this whole ecosystem of other products and things like that. So that's little bit about Rehearsal and ELB learning. I think Micah will sort of dive into the platform next, if that works.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get after it. So I'm going to go ahead and take over the screen share here from Dre, and let me share my screen here. Everybody see this okay? Dre, I see you nod your head, so we're gonna go with that. So I'm gonna walk everybody through Rehearsal. So we're gonna walk through an example for sure about onboarding, maybe like a first-time manager type situation, and we're gonna touch not only on the type of content that you'd build in Rehearsal, but what that learner experience is like, what the AI component is like, what the mentor feedback experience is like, and then towards the tail end, we'll dive into actually how to build content, because a lot of folks on here that are seeing this for the first time, not only, a lot of you, I would imagine, you're not going to be really the front end learners on these, in this type of situation. You're going to want to know, how to build content. How do we roll it out? How scalable is this, right? How do we go about doing that? How do we make our lives easier to make better learning experiences for our teams and our enterprises, right? So I'm showing you the web version of Rehearsal today. Please note that we have native iOS and Android apps available as well if you need people to access this in a mobile environment. So any smartphone, any tablet, doesn't matter, they'd be able to access it in that environment. So I'm currently logged in as an end user here, and as you can see, I've brought to the assignments tab, and I've got these assignments here that have been given to me, based on my role within the organization, based on where I'm at within my training, based off of areas of improvement that my manager has identified and rolled out to me a la carte, right? This isn't like an LMS where I see all the different content that's already in there, and I can kind of go pick and choose what I want to do. I'm only seeing the content that I'm personally assigned to here in this platform. I also want to touch on, before I dive in any further, the fact that yes, Rehearsal can operate fully as a standalone tool, but it can also integrate with any third-party system. So whatever sort of LMS you already have in place, or a CRM, or whatever it might be, right? This tool, we do support single sign-on, as Dre mentioned, right? We've got APIs on the back end. If you want to call data out of Rehearsal, we can help to create a really seamless user experience here with your current third-party system. So want to be upfront about that, okay? So back to the assignments here. So let's go ahead. As you can see, I've got this assignment here that's been given to me. It's got its own start and end date, and it's broken down into these individual scenarios, or what we call this here in the platform. Okay, so let's go ahead and hop into this first scenario here, which is about providing constructive feedback utilizing the SBI model. And again, this is one of our AI, we call it retry with AI feedback scenarios. And so notice here that this scenario is comprised of 4 parts, okay? We've got the front end prompt video here. This is typically going to be the front end of a video role play, or this could also just be the instructor-led instructions. Let's go back to kind of like the pharma example, right? Maybe we've got a new drug rolling out or something in 2025. Hey, everybody, we're going to work on our elevator pitches and make sure we've got our messaging standardized across the sales unit. We're going to make sure that we touch on XYZ, make sure your response stays between 1 minute and 2 minutes long. Let me see what you got, ready, set, go, right? So we can deliver it in that instructor-led style, or, most commonly we do see this delivered in the role play style here. And I'm not going to play this whole video here because it's 2 minutes long. We're not going to waste that much time, okay? You've got the spot down here for further text-based instructions. So any sort of context you want to provide around provide about the role play, or going to provide really clear expectations in terms of what we're looking to get out of the learner, or if you want to link out to some information here for the learner to go review, you can certainly do that. You've got a spot down here to build and create a grading rubric with each scenario you build, and if you do so, we give the learners visibility into what the criteria within that rubric are. Number 1, for transparency's sake, but number 2, quite honestly, if we do a good job of labeling these criteria, it's a great way to drive the correct behavior out of the learners in their practice in the first place. And then lastly, we've got a spot over here for attachments. So this would be any sort of referenceable material that you've got that you want the learner to review prior to practicing. You can attach it over here. You can see we've got something that's in a document format, right? This could be in PDF format. It might be a best practice video, training video, audio file, PowerPoint presentation, Excel spreadsheet, any combination of those. Attach whatever you want to this section over here, okay? So again, all this information is customizable to every scenario that you build in Rehearsal, and is meant for the learner to review prior to practicing, okay? I'll certainly stop at multiple points as we go through this, but please utilize the chat, utilize the Q&A as we go here. Again, we want this to be as interactive as possible, and we can flow and go as we need to. This isn't super structured, okay? So within this AI scenario, what we're doing here is we're taking whatever sort of prompt, instructions, scenario information that's here in this prompt video, as well as any sort of instructions, criteria, whatever it might be, that is set in the further text-based instructions when we're utilizing our retry with AI. So what's going to happen is that once the learner records their video, right, we're actually going to take the transcript of that video. We're going to route it. We do utilize OpenAI here, and it is going to then analyze and provide feedback based off of the instructions that we've provided here, okay? So again, in this scenario, right, we're a team leader at a Fortune 500 company. We've got a team member, Taylor, who's been arriving late. She's causing a real ruckus, right? She's making everything slow down, and we're having to repeat ourselves, and it's a hassle, okay? We have to go ahead and utilize the situation behavior impact. That said, Fortune 500 company, that's the model that we've put in place for our managers. And so as a first-time manager, this is something that I need to practice, because my goal is to communicate the issue clearly and find a solution with Taylor, okay? And here are the goals, right? So these are the parameters that we've set here within this scenario that we're going to get the feedback when I record my video based off of that, okay? So once I've played this prompt video, read the instructions, right, I'm ready to go. As you can see here, I've got two gigantic buttons. I can either record a video if I'm actively practicing this within platform, or I can upload a video. Let's say I just took one outside of the platform. I could come in and upload that as my response in here if I needed to. But I'm actively practicing, so I'll go ahead, I'll click the record button. When I do, the platform will access the camera and the microphone. Now you see me picture in picture here. I click the start recording button. I get a real simple 3, 2, 1 countdown. And now I'm on the stage. And this is where I would get the opportunity to talk to Taylor, right? How am I going to let Taylor know that showing up late is not okay and you're causing a real problem? And I'm supposed to use the SBI model, even though I don't actually know it, as I'm not a manager, I'm a sales guy. And so I would talk to Taylor though, and then go through whatever I need to talk through. And then when I'm done, I'll click the stop recording button. And the first thing that'll happen is that this video is going to automatically play back. So I have to see myself, I have to hear myself, and I have to decide whether or not I did any good in this particular practice take. And now I'm on the stage, and this is where I would get the opportunity to. Okay, so again, I can watch that all the way back through, and again, really clean user experience here, right? Like red button bad, green button good type situation. I can either discard that video and practice again, or I can submit it for coaching and review, not only by the AI, but we've also set this scenario up to have a mentor go in and review it as well. Okay. What we've found at ELB, to Dre's point earlier, is that learners are by far their own harshest critics, right? So historically, on average, learners will click this discard recording button 5.6 times before ever submitting a video, ever getting any sort of feedback or any sort of coaching on it. So not only are they practicing this skill set 5 or 6 times, but by having to see themselves and hear themselves back, what they're doing is they're self-correcting. They'll self-identify some of this low-hanging fruit, right? Whether their messaging wasn't quite right, or they don't sound super confident, or maybe they're not making great eye contact, or whatever it might be, right? They'll work through some of that stuff on their own, which is really great then, because by the time the AI is going to provide feedback or a mentor is going to provide feedback, right? They can provide the type of feedback that's actually going to upskill learners in these particular scenarios that we're putting them in. Okay, so there's a lot of magic. So Rehearsal was actually built on this foundation of an actual psychological process called deliberate practice. And so it's built in a very strategic way to actually help develop the learning on this. Okay. So we're going to say, for the sake of time though, that this video was good. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to click submit. I get a prompt that says, hey, are you sure you want to do that? Again, we want Rehearsal to be a safe environment. So we're just making sure that the learner understands, hey, somebody's going to see this, right? So we're going to click OK. That's going to do a couple of things. So first and foremost, that will start the upload of that video, which is going to append itself to this scenario, kicking off what we like to call the conversation thread. The second thing that's going to happen is that's now getting routed, right, to OpenAI to provide the coaching and feedback on it. And as you can see, happens really quickly, right? This is a really fast process. So we can see now here, right? Nice attempt based on the transcript. We actually recommend you refining your responses so it aligns closer to the scenario instructions, right? So that would be this information up here that we talked about that it's validating against, okay? So I'm doing a great job by attempting to engage with the scenario, but guess what? I actually need to apply the SBI model, which I definitely didn't do. I didn't use any I statements. I think that's one of the main things, that's in there. So, right, it's providing this type of constructive feedback and suggesting, hey, you should probably practice this again, okay? Not only do I get this AI feedback, but I can also see, right, the key points of what I said in my response, a summary of what I said. Were there any calls to action that I provided here in this response? And then we also get these transcript analytics down here. Talk time percentage, pause time, average pace, word count, number of questions I asked in the response, right? So we can utilize all of this data to go ahead and provide a higher level of coaching experience here. So from here, obviously, the whole thing is called retry with AI, right? So based off of this feedback, I could certainly retry my response and re-record. Or let's say that this feedback actually came back, pretty good, right? And I feel really confident about what I did. I can say, you know what, appreciate that, but I want to put this forward. I actually want to hear what my manager or whoever my mentor might be, right? Maybe it's a trainer, maybe a topic expert, whoever it is. I want to hear their feedback on this. So I'm actually going to go ahead and confirm my response here. And once I confirm that, now a notification would go out to whoever's been assigned to me as that mentor, letting them know that I've submitted a video and they need to go in and provide some feedback. And as a matter of fact, I'm my own mentor on this scenario. And so I've already got the email notification that came across on my mobile device. I'm actually signed out of my mobile app at the moment. Otherwise, I would have got a push notification as well. So I want to take a quick pause right there. Obviously, we're going through it fairly quickly, but that's that learner experience. It's the AI component. Dre, anything in the chat, anything in the Q&A, any questions that anybody has? This would be a great time to speak up and put it out there.
One comment, Micah, you're doing a great job. Very useful
Love
and
it.
helps participation and engagement.
Okay, love that.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, it's very true though. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so SBI model. I don't know anything. I didn't know anything about SBI, for example. How do we have to train our AI on SBI? And I know the answer. I'm just kind of framing this for the audience, but
Right.
for example,
Actually, Candace just actually asked it in the Q&A, right? Can you train the AI to give feedback based on company standards and protocols?
yeah.
So why don't you go ahead and answer that?
Yeah, so this question comes up a lot, right? We don't necessarily have your company's specific process, right? And every company is going to have their own specific knowledge base here. And so what we would rely on is, Micah, if you want to scroll up to that scenario.
Yeah.
So in here we have scenario overview, we have this text description, we also have the video, that audio description as well. And so what we tell people is just, put your whatever your process is. If you have this 5-step process, just put that, copy paste it into there and say, this is the process we want. We want the learn to follow, for example. So pretty simple. We're also looking at, and this is a bit forward looking, but looking at the attachments as well. So you could upload specific documentation that's on your process, and we can use that to train it also.
Mhm.
So very flexible, very, very general. Yeah.
Right. And can get highly nuanced, right? Like obviously we didn't have to train the AI on the SBI model, right? But it knows exactly what the SBI model is, and it can get hyper nuanced in terms of the type of information that you're providing here, and it's very accurate in providing the type of feedback. We're getting incredible feedback and responses from our customers who are actively utilizing this tool.
Yeah.
On that note though, right, let's also, just because it's going to come up in any conversation we have post this, if anybody wants to explore this tool further, right, is the security of this. So also, right, it's very important to know that, right, although we're pinging this to OpenAI, right, we're pinging the transcript and OpenAI is like reviewing this, it's not retaining any of your data. It's not retaining any of your proprietary information, right? It's not training it. OpenAI is not training their own model on your data or data submitted in the learner videos, right? It's a closed loop, and so very secure in that regard. Dre, is there anything you want to add on to that point?
Yeah, there's just questions, comments from the chat as well. Who owns the data? So the answer is this is your data. You own the data. While we do utilize OpenAI, they do not store any of that data. They don't store the inputs or the outputs. They do not use your data to train any of their models as well, nor do we. So, yeah, it's all customer-owned data. Isn't stored or used for training.
Right. Yeah. Greg, you actually asked if ELB stores data. Like obviously, yeah, we're hosting the data, right? So obviously, any submissions here, right, they're getting hosted on ELB servers, right? We do utilize AWS, in particular AWS Northeast here in the United States. So obviously, we're hosting that as long as that learner profile is active. If you delete a learner profile from the platform, any of the content that they have submitted into the platform is getting deleted with that profile. So again, we've built this in a way to be hyper secure. We're in every highly regulated market in the country, across the globe, and we're very good at this. So as I don't want to dive too much into the weeds on any of that, right? At any point, if anybody's going to explore, bringing in Rehearsal for their organization, we're going to go through any sort of IT risk reviews and all fine. Like we're ready to have those conversations when necessary.
Yeah. But I mean, bottom line, we do offer custom terms as well. So we do have some customers that are very sensitive around what data is out there and specifically how long the data is in the platform for. And so we really do try to work with our customers, understanding their needs for data security compliance.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dre, Nicholas actually hopped into the Q&A as well. Like, can the AI be trained on company specific things, i.e. values, sales techniques, etc.?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so today really what we're focusing on is this scenario. And I would say, yeah, if you have specific company values and if that is part of the scenario and what the learners are expected to practice, again, and we'll get into this too when Micah's showing how you build these scenarios, but really it's just text, put your values, say, here's our values statements. Here are our product guidelines, etc. These are really, these are instructions, text-based instructions that, the more the better, whatever's relevant to this scenario that the learner needs to practice. We just tell our customers, put it in there, put it in the text field, put it in the video.
Yep.
It's really that simple. Yeah.
Yep. Matthew, I also see your question, right? How would you or could you incorporate this with an articulate, or a Lectora-based training solution, right? Can it be embedded with those types of courses, or would it need to just communicate with the course via the LMS or an application bridge? Obviously, if you're utilizing single sign-on, right, it's typically going to be done through the LMS, but you can certainly build the activities into the course. Most commonly, they're like launchable links, right? Dre, is it right? So
Yeah, we'll
they're
typically embed links into, say, the LMS, and then like most of our customers have SSO implemented as well. So it's really a seamless experience. You launch the rehearsal assignment from your LMS or wherever you're hosting it. It opens up in the browser here as you see what Micah has. They go through, they complete the activity, and they're done.
right. So each scenario here, right, has its own unique URL. You can put this in the course, right, that you build in Storyline or in Lectora, right? And and of course, once they launch it, right, it's coming into your instance, right? abccompany.rehearsal.com, whatever that front half is, right? Your company's own instance of Rehearsal, and you can do it that way. There's different kinds of links that you can use as well. We've got auto-assigned links. There's a lot of flexibility with this platform and a lot of ways that we can automate the process for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mentioned mobile as well, or mobile apps. So sometimes a lot of the reps are on the road, they're on their iPad, they're doing their recording in their car, for example. But it's pretty seamless and easy. They'll get an email, they click on it, opens right up on their device if they have the app installed. They're ready to go.
Yep. For sure.
One comment from Pamela, Micah in the chat there. I don't know if you saw
Yep.
it. Yeah.
Buttons rise. I also add a statement containing instructions. Yep, that's great, Pam. That's great. I'll let everybody read that one on their own. But yes, that's a great way to go about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's thank you. Let's keep that going. Keep the chat going. Like, keep the questions coming. Let's make it. Let's talk about it. Let's make it more interactive. So, but I will hop into the other side of this, right? So not only does this platform, right, it's not solely an AI feedback loop that we have here, right? You can actually have real coaches, real mentors, people that are part of your organization, or whoever you want to define as the mentors for these learners in their practice, right? So I'm now changing my role, right? I'm Micah the coach, Micah the manager, whatever title you want to put on me. I've been assigned to that learner as his mentor. So of course I'm an admin in my own demo instance here, right? So I can see content creation tabs and user management, that sort of thing. If I'm just a mentor in here and I don't have admin rights, I only see this review tab. So just FYI, okay? Here at the top, we can search, filter, do all the things that we could possibly need to as our repository grows over time, again, to help streamline this process for the mentors. But I've also got a queue here of all these different scenarios I've been assigned to here. Okay, so we can tell, based on the icon over here, where we're at within the process. So this one's awaiting mentor feedback. It's that one that was just submitted. So I can click into that. as the mentor, I can see all of the original scenario information, so I can familiarize myself with this scenario if I need to. As I scroll on down, there's that learner's video. I, as the mentor, also get to see all the AI feedback, right, and all the transcript analytics and everything like that, so I can familiarize myself that way as well. But then from here, I can certainly watch this video and start to build my feedback as a coach and as a mentor. And now I'm on the stage, and this is where I would get the opportunity to talk to Taylor. Okay, so I can watch that all the way through, and then we've really built Rehearsal in a way to facilitate kind of 3 different ways of going about this. So obviously we can do straight up one-on-one coaching back here. Okay. We've built this in a way that can support having multiple mentors back here, providing feedback on the same learner video if we need to. And then we've also built this in a way to actually go through this asynchronous role play back and forth. Okay. So stick with me. I'll kind of talk through all of it. The first way to leave feedback is that we can leave a comment. Cool thing about being able to leave a comment is not only can your feedback be video and or text based, but with comments you can associate that feedback with a specific time within that learner's video. So most commonly on a 34-second video, time-based feedback is not going to be relevant, but if you've got anything that's a couple minutes or longer and you want to leave feedback at 47 seconds and 1:12 and 2:19, you can absolutely do that. Okay. When you submit comments, the learner can see the feedback, watch the feedback, read the feedback, but the platform isn't then prompting the learner to take any further action. So the learner's kind of stuck, right? So this is really great for having multiple mentors, right? Let's say we have a topic expert and a direct manager. We're going to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Direct Manager, we want you to run the workflow. We're going to let you prompt the learner for a new response and submit for final review. But Mr. and Mrs. Topic Expert, we want your feedback. We want your input here, but we're going to set your permissions to where you can only provide comments, and we'll let the direct manager run the workflow. Okay, that way we're not tripping over each other or it's just getting messy for the learner, right? Yep. It actually creates a really clear, simple, streamlined user experience for your learners. Okay. If we were doing asynchronous role play, right, I might go ahead and provide my coaching and feedback here in this commentary format and submit that. But then when we're ready, right, I'm actually going to go ahead and just delete this just to, again, make it a little bit more cleaner to see as you watch it, right? So let's say I submitted my coaching and feedback in that commentary format, but now to move the role play along, maybe I'm going to prompt the learner for a new response, and now I'm going to record or upload a video that's going to be the next installment of that role play. So based off of what I said as a first-time manager here, maybe I took a really poor approach, and now Taylor, our gal who keeps showing up to every meeting late, now she's getting irate. Maybe I might record a video saying, hey, what do you do? You can't talk to me like that, right? And I can take the conversation in whatever direction I want to, and and obviously once we send this, right, the learner would be able to watch that video, and the platform is going to ask them to record or upload in response to that video. So again, we can go back and forth in this asynchronous role play as far as we want to take this conversation down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. Micah, a question from the audience here about languages. So does the platform work for languages other than English, and how is it related to the feedback?
Yeah, great question. So on the feedback, so this our AI feedback and everything like that, because there's also transcriptions that happen back here. I think this is supported in 75. Do you actually know the number, Dre? It's a ton.
Whatever, yeah.
Right, 75 different languages, a lot of them. Okay, and then the platform itself, like all the platform navigation and everything like that, anything that's in platform is supported in 13 languages, I do believe, and it's all the main ones, right? Spanish, German, French,
Portuguese,
Japanese,
Chinese, Korean, Japanese, yeah.
Trying to
get all the major languages.
Right. Yeah, you're welcome, Daniel. Thank you. So polite in the chat. I love that. Okay, back to how we're going back and forth here. So let's say we're not doing this. So obviously we just showed how we can do the asynchronous role play, right? Let's say we're not doing that. We're just doing straight up one-on-one coaching. Maybe the learner submitted this video and clearly my response, right, wasn't up to the level that we were looking for. I can come in here, I can prompt the learner for a new response, record a video or leave text-based feedback, providing the coaching and feedback I need to. And then again, the platform would, prompt the learner to go ahead and review that learner or that feedback video and then re-record. Okay, so we can just do one-on-one coaching back here if we need to. Once we've gone through whatever our process is, right, we get to the end of it, whether it's the role play conversation, you know, maybe the learner now has submitted a video that we're like really happy with, like, yeah, that's the level of competency we're looking for there. Now I can go ahead, I can submit for final review. When I do so, right, I can still leave my video and my text-based feedback, but now here comes the grading rubric that we built on the front end, right, and I could grade the learner out on their performance here. You can have as little or as many criteria here as you want. Obviously, this one only has one, right? So it could have 4, it could have 10. Label each criteria whatever you want it to be, and then you can adjust the scoring scale on each criteria to be anything out of up to 10. So make it a 1-point scale if you want to do like complete, not complete, right? You either did it or didn't. Make it a 5-point scale, 10-point scale, whatever you want to do there. Okay. Same process for the mentors. So obviously, I've mentioned it multiple times now, you can have video or text-based feedback. We always highly, highly encourage providing video-based feedback in this platform. I don't know about any of you, like I've gotten a text message from my wife where I thought that tone of that text was that I was getting yelled at, where a phone call would have like drastically saved us from an argument later that night, right? Type of situation. In this same like employee mentor, employee manager type of dynamic, right? Provide that video-based feedback so the learner can see the nonverbals, right? They can hear the tone, right? Create that connection point. We're already doing this asynchronously. We're already not together, not in the same room, right? Create that connection point, right? Don't leave text-based feedback, but also leave video-based feedback. Like just do it, okay? Same process for the mentors when it comes to providing that type of feedback. They click record, they get the same prompt here, they get the same 3, 2, 1 countdown. Hey, Micah, that was a fantastic job of really utilizing the SBI model to address Taylor and come up with a nice, creative, collaborative solution, right? I really like what you came up with. I think about a lot of other people from the team that are going through this, you know, your new hire cohort can learn from your video. So I just want to let you know we're going to be promoting it to the leaderboard. Congratulations.
Hey, Micah, that was
Okay, so that's actually my positive self-speak for the day. You know, my therapist will be stoked. So we'll go ahead, we'll submit that video, right? That's going to upload from there. Once that video is uploaded here, okay, then we're going to go ahead and we'll submit for final review here. We'll click that button and that'll send the volley back over the net. That's going to effectively close out the scenario here in the platform. And now that scenario is wrapped up, and then the learner is going to get notified of this feedback video. And then I just mentioned the fact that Rehearsal has a leaderboard, and it's a really impactful part of Rehearsal actually. So the leaderboard is probably misnamed a little bit because it's not gamified, right? What it's meant to be is a repository of best practices. In regardless of your use case, new hires, sales, customer service, leadership, whatever it is, you're going to have your top performers. You're going to have people that they're hitting their numbers all the time, or leaders that just have that charisma. They know they empathize with their team members, right? Whatever it is, what are they doing in these situations that's making them so effective or is going to make them so effective moving forward once they get into the role, that we can highlight for other learners to see so that they can hopefully go in and watch those and impart some of what they're seeing into their own practice, right? So we're not looking to create robots or anything like that, but if you've got best practice, like get it out there, show people what good looks like so that they can emulate that. So I, as the mentor, would go to the learner video here. I can click on this 3 dot. I can add it to the leaderboard. The only 2 things that show up on the leaderboard are the best practice video that we're highlighting, and then whatever I type in here is this note. So typically, you know, give credit where credit is due. It's going to help drive performance and activity in the platform. But then also we'd want to type in here, like, why is this video good? Why is it getting posted to the leaderboard? What do we want people to learn from it? Okay. I'm just going to give it to this is great just for the sake of time. I can publish it directly to the leaderboard, or I can certainly request permission from the learner to be posted to the leaderboard, depending on your company culture. Totally up to you. Okay. So I'm getting notifications that are coming across on the learner side, right? All these actions are taking place. If I come back over here to the learner side, maybe I'm back to being Micah the learner right now, right? A quick refresh of the page over here would show me all these actions have taken place, right? The icon's gone through, big green check mark. I can see the score that I was given over here. I can click into the scenario. I can scroll on down through the conversation thread and see all this back and forth between myself and my mentor or my multiple mentors, right? Everything is color coded. So learners' videos are always wrapped in green. The comments were gray. Try again was blue, right? Final reviews in red. I can see the breakdown, the rubric down here. I can watch the mentor's feedback video, do all those things. Okay. So again, that was an AI feedback scenario, right? That learner experience, I didn't touch it. At any point in time, right? I can click on the leaderboard over here on the left-hand side and see any of the videos from myself or my colleagues who have been assigned to the same scenarios that I have. So we can keep use cases separate there. So if I'm, again, in this onboarding program over here, and there's a sales program going on over there, I'm not assigned to those same scenarios over there. I'm over here. And so I'm not seeing any of the leaderboard submissions from that program. I'm only seeing them from the ones that I'm assigned to personally. Okay. But then I'd obviously be able to see any of those videos here. We don't have them in this demo site. So again, AI feedback, learner experience, mentor experience, leaderboard, thoughts, questions, concerns, would love to hear them in the chat.
There was a question about downloading interactions.
So yep, always a great one. For security purposes, admins are the only people that are allowed to download content outside of this platform, right? You might have proprietary information that's going on in here, right? Product information, whatever it might be. You don't want anybody just being able to download it and go in and post it on YouTube or something like that. Okay, so admins do have the ability to download those, save them locally. You can put them back in your LMS for other people to see, whatever it might be. But for security purposes, that's an admin's job. Oh, can we show? Oh, Crystal said, can we show how to download? Let's give that a quick shot. So back here on the admin side of things, apologies, we'll get there. So back in the thread back here, okay, let's say I'm going to go down to this learner video as the admin. There's this 3 dot that's tied to the video itself. I'd click on that and I can click the download button and save it from there. Okay, so it's a super simple process.
Yeah.
Thanks for hopping on there, Crystal. I didn't even know you were in here. So glad you're here. How are leaderboard video elevations communicated to the learner base? So Matt, great question. For the sake of not wanting to bombard everybody with notifications and things like that, all learners aren't notified, right? The learner who's getting submitted to the leaderboard would be notified. But there's not like this mass communication that goes out like, oh, Jared's video was posted to the leaderboard. Like, that's not happening. We just don't want to inundate people with notifications like that. So people would actually have to go to the leaderboard. A lot of times we see organizations like in the description or in the instructions on a particular scenario, they'll say, hey, make sure you check the leaderboard to see if there are any best practice videos. Takes one line, people will click on it, they'll go through and review some of those. It's a really simple thing to do. It's a great question. Let's see. What else we got in the Q&A? Jessica's asking, right, interested in understanding the process in aligning mentors, et cetera, to learners and how manually intensive it is or isn't. This is something, Jessica, that if you've got if we're utilizing SSO and you've got those relationships built into whatever your directory is, we can pull those and mentors can automatically be assigned based off that relationship in the directory. So there's a lot of things that we can do there to automate that and streamline that. Obviously, it can get as manually intensive as you want. Although we've built Rehearsal in a way that makes it still really easy. Just depends on how many you're going through at a given time, right? The volume is the thing that's tough to scale. The actual act of doing it is really simple.
Yeah, through SSO is typically how we'll set it. So for example, a lot of companies will set the learner's manager as their mentor, as one of the fields. And so we'll pull that in. And so when we add learners to the assignment, we'll just check the box that, yeah, use their, what we call user specific mentor. But yeah, SSO is a great integration point. And then we do offer our API as well for more advanced integrations.
Dre, we had somebody else. Are there dashboard reports on training, like let's say across a team, for example? We do have multiple reports that are built directly into the platform. We've got actually have 6 on the reports tab itself. All these, again, this is why we have the APIs, right? You can certainly call this data out and pull it into Power BI or like Tableau or like one of those BI tools if you want to do that, to kind of create those visuals and those dashboards. Otherwise, everything is exported into Excel. You've got user specific, scenario specific. So this is where you'd be able to see an entire team's performance across a particular scenario. You could do the same thing across an assignment, which would be an entire collection of scenarios, right? And then we haven't touched on channels yet, and I doubt we'll have time to do that, but we've got a couple of reports for channels as well. We also have one last report that's directly tied to assignments, and this is more of a activity type of report, right? So you can see who's been assigned, how many scenarios there are, when was the last time somebody was in there, did they do it, yes or no? Obviously, you can see all these. Obviously, Dre and I are the only ones in this particular demo site, so there's not a lot of activity in here. But you can also see the same thing from the feedback side of this too, because one of the key ingredients to the success of this platform is that mentor engagement. That's why the AI is actually so helpful, because it helps to scale that across the mentors. But otherwise, mentor engagement is hypercritical to the success of this platform.
Yeah. Another question from the audience is capacity of data management. Is it according to the contract? Is it variable? That's from Daniel. I think, Daniel, so we don't cap any data inside the platform. So it's basically user licenses. So if you're buying, 1,000 learner licenses, you'll get so many author licenses and so many admin licenses along with that. And then, you're free to use the platform, put as many video responses in there as you want, create as many scenarios, upload as many documents as you want. We don't have any limitation on the amount of data that's going through the platform. If that answers your question, please let us know in the chat.
Okay, we have 12 minutes left. Again, really great interaction. Please keep the questions coming. We really love this. So nice to talk with people instead of at them. Let's show quickly though what it is like to create a scenario in this platform. So there are 3 components to building here in the platform, like from a legacy standpoint in here. So programs and assignments, right? I like to use a book analogy. I don't even know if it works, but it's just the one that got stuck in my head. So I tell it to people. So I use a book analogy. So like scenarios are like you're writing the chapters of a book, right? And then programs is like your editorial process, like which chapters are going to make it into the final version of the book and like in which order do you want them read. And then the assignments is like where you actually put the book together and you're going to give the book to whoever you want to read it type situation. So
that's a great analogy, Micah.
Is it Drake? Because I swear sometimes it, I don't know, doesn't matter. Came up with it.
Yeah,
you like it?
Yeah,
okay.
I appreciate it.
Yep. If you absolutely hate that analogy, put it in the chat. Go ahead. Like I'll take it. It's okay. But anyway, so we're gonna build a new scenario. So we're gonna build from scratch. Let's show what it looks like. So we're gonna say this is the ELBX test scenario. Okay. We've actually set this up to where you actually have to give it a name, because in the past we've had people that just create scenario and they just write scenario on it, and then you've got 30 scenarios that are just labeled scenario and you don't know which one's which. So you have to give it an actual name. From here, it's really simple, a combination of drop downs and just like checkboxes and stuff like that. So this is where we're going to provide our prompt video. We're either going to record a video live in here as the prompt video. You can do, we haven't touched on this, but there is a screen recorder built into the platform. So this is really great. Actually, if we stick with the new hire use case, like if you've got a new hire and you also have Salesforce and you want this new hire to show you that they properly know how to input an opportunity into Salesforce so you can keep your data and your pipeline and your forecasts nice and clean, you can have them show you and talk their way through it and show you that they know how to do that. So like a system certification type of scenario. Okay, so all right, enough of that.
I'm always amazed how many customers use it for that.
Yeah.
Walk me through the software and show me that you know how you're
right.
how to do this. Yeah.
walk us through how to use our internal tech stack. How do you do it? Yes, no, right? You could also just upload a video. So again, we could create a video outside of this in a different tool, right? As long as it's an MP4 format, you can upload that in here as your video. Okay. You get to decide what type of response the learner has to provide here. So it always defaults to learners must record audio and video, but it's a drop down. So you can say, hey, if there's no camera, it'll default to audio only. Do you want to make sure it is audio only? Do you want to give the learner the option, or do you want it to or do you want it to be a screen recording? You get to decide, pick one of the options, okay? We haven't talked about a hot seat yet as well, but hot seat just means that the learner's only going to get one chance to record their video, right? So if I get through this quickly enough, I'll actually show you that one because it's patented technology to Rehearsal and it's really neat. But if you want it to be a hot seat, literally a checkbox, yes or no. Same thing with if you want this scenario to be public. So if you want other teams to be able to use it or whatever it might be, you can make it public from there. The description, this is where we'd provide any of that text-based instructions, right? So any of the information for the AI, whether that's information about our internal processes or our models that we follow, or you just want to provide instructions on what you want the learner to do, type it in here, okay? Attachments, again, literally just attach a file, go grab it, pull it in here, and attach them. If there's a common presentation that everybody's going to be working off of, so a PowerPoint deck, you can add the presentation and that'll default. That way everybody has it and they don't all have to go find it and pull it up. But this will also, when the learner goes to record, it'll pull up that PowerPoint and you'll actually see the slides. And so you'll see the person, hear the person, and they've got to navigate through the deck. So that's an option too. And then down here is where you build your grading rubric. So it's always going to default to overall performance out of 10, but I can just add a criteria, right? We can change this. I'm always concerned about my posture sitting in my chair all day long. Let's say we only make that out of 3. Let's see, bad analogies. Who knows? Question. It either is or it isn't, right? And we can just add as many as we want to here. Down here at the bottom, you do have the option if you've got somebody that isn't an admin, but maybe they are a topic expert on this thing or whatever it might be, you can add them as a scenario editor. That would give them the capability to help come in and edit this content for you. And then as you, again, grow your repository of content within the platform, you can add tags, okay? But once you've gone through that, all you got to do is come up here, you click publish. I have to have a video in there, otherwise it won't let me. But if, let's say we had a video, we'd click publish and all of a sudden that video is, or that scenario is live to be added to a program. So as you can tell, it's really simple. You'll spend more time conceptualizing the scenario and making sure it's going to drive the correct behaviors that you want than it will taking to build. It's a really simple platform. Any questions, anything on that? Daniel, yes, this recording will be shared. Just so you know. Let's see. Do we have anything else in the Q&A? Nope, I think we're good in the Q&A. Okay. Again, you're welcome. All right. Again, keep them coming. 6 minutes, 5 minutes now to get your last questions in for sure. I will show really quickly. Let's get out of there. Let's actually go to those. I'm actually going to hop over to my other demo site here. I want to show you these different capabilities in here. So I just mentioned the hot seat scenario. So it's labeled a hot seat for this learner experience, right? It brings them to this page. I'm not going to read this, but the learner has to check these 2 boxes so they understand what's about to happen to them. And then it'll take them to the scenario. You'll notice that the scenario is relatively the same, right? It's got all 4 components here, but you'll notice that in a hot seat scenario, there's no record or upload button. And that's because in this hot seat scenario, once the learner plays this prompt video, as soon as the prompt video ends, the platform automatically launches the camera and the microphone, automatically starts the 3, 2, 1 countdown, and the learner's got 1 shot to nail whatever it is that they're asking them to do. So this is a simple elevator one. So I'll actually show you what this looks like. Here we go.
It's important to have clear messaging. So in a short elevator pitch, succinctly describe what we do.
Okay, so that video ends. Again, platform automatically launches the camera and the microphone. It's going to start the 3, 2, 1 countdown. This is going a little slow because I didn't turn off my Zoom camera, but there we go. 3, 2, 1 countdown. Now I got to go. I got 1 chance to go ahead and nail whatever this is asking me to do. In this case, an elevator pitch. If coffee comes spilling out of my nose, right, if I'm unprepared, Dre is my mentor would get to laugh at me. Happens sometimes, whatever. But when I'm done, I'll click stop. You'll notice here, this one does not automatically play back. It's just getting routed for coaching and review. We didn't have any of the AI turned on this one. So this is going to go directly to a mentor to review from there. Okay. So I don't like to use the word test necessarily, but it is a great way to help certify and just, hey, before we let anybody out into the wild, especially I know this whole session's about new hires, right? Before we release you out in the wild here, why don't you show us that you can perform in a one and done type situation? Also, rehearsal maybe do this during interviewing. I went through 5 scenarios, including a hot seat scenario. I did it on an exercise ball. I'll never forget it. I don't know why, but I was on an exercise ball. Fun fact. Last thing I'll show, we got 3 minutes, then we're going to wrap up, is I mentioned the screen recorder. So again, just to show you what this looks like. Okay, again, you can set up the scenario. When the learner goes to record, right, it'll actually pull up the screen recorder. They can frame it to, maybe they only want to record half the screen or the entire screen, right? They can frame it out, do whatever it might be. They get to choose if they're just recording the screen, or obviously if you want them to be on video and the audio as well. But from here, this is the final outlook, and you'll see me down here in the bottom right. You're going to see me, hear me, and you'll see how I'm navigating on the screen. As you can see here, I've got the cursors highlighted, and it's pretty straightforward. So one thing I know that you were curious about is the ability to do screen record our HubSpot, and if we were dealing with a new hire. Okay, not going to belabor that, but you get the idea, right? You're going to hear me, you're going to see me, and you can see what I'm doing on my screen. In this case, I was actually walking us through how to utilize HubSpot, which is the CRM we use here at ELB. So we have 2 minutes. That was a pretty exhaustive demo, by the way. Like, you got to see a lot of what this tool can do. But any last questions, comments, concerns, let us know, and we'll get through those. What's about to happen to them? Crystal, you're funny. Matthew, you're very welcome. So as we've talked about, we'll be sharing out the recording from this session. Kristen will make sure that gets out to everybody. I know I want to personally thank everyone for taking the time to be here today, and for hearing Dre and I out and seeing a tool that we think is really cool and really impactful, even though, like, it is a niche tool. Like, let's be honest about it. It does one thing, right? It does video-based practice coaching, but it does it extremely excellent, and it's impactful, and it works. So it's a cool tool. We've seen a lot of impact for organizations with this tool, right? When people utilize this, they tend to stick around for a long time and use it. So thank you, everybody, for your interactivity, your questions, and just for all of it. But Dre, if you've got anything, we just want to thank you all for being here.
I'm excited for the next one because we have quite the roadmap that we've been working on as well. So, mentioned I'm the product development guy, and so I can't wait to show what we are working on and what's coming out next. And
Ooh.
it is AI
I
related.
feel a webinar coming in 2020.
Wow.
Andreas.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah, let's end on a cliffhanger. There we go. Right, meeting's
Sequel.
done.
Sequel done. Bye, everybody. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kristen. Why don't you close us out?
Thank you
Yeah.
so much, gentlemen, for being here today and showing everybody the power of rehearsal. Also, we have 2 more days going on for ELBX online. Just if you'd like to schedule yourself for some of these wonderful presentations, we have at least 6 of them left between Wednesday and Thursday. You can just go to elblearning.com, click on the wonderful banner, and then get yourself registered, because they are all different registration links. And you will get a recap of all of this in your inbox tomorrow before noon EST. And we will hopefully see you again. Thanks so much and have a great day.